Video 8, Simultaneous Configurations in Junos. This video describes the task number 8 of this vDay 1 practice. In the real world, it's definitely possible to have several users or sessions configuring the same device at the same time. Junos is a robust operational system that manages simultaneous access to the configuration database consistently. Let's see some examples, starting with the default configuration mode. You enter this mode by executing configure or edit without any specific options. In the default configuration mode, the user has direct access to the candidate database. There is only one candidate database shared by all the sessions. When user 1 changes the host name, this change applies to the shared candidate database. So when user 2 checks the candidate configuration, it sees the new host name set by user 1. This is expected because the candidate database is shared by all the sessions. The prompt of both sessions is still Everest because nothing has been committed so far. The show command in configuration mode displays the candidate configuration, not the active configuration. You would need to run the show configuration operational command to view the active configuration. What happens if the user exits the configuration mode? The change remains in the candidate database. So when the user enters configuration mode again, the new host name is still there, waiting to be committed. At some point, user 2 decides to change the host name again in the candidate database. When user 1 checks the changes pending to be committed, it sees that host name is set by user 2. So if user 1 decided to run commit at this time, it would be committing someone else's changes. When any of the users, in this case user 2, commits, the active configuration is finally modified with the new host name. And the prompt of both sessions changes accordingly. There is another configuration mode, very widely used, that protects against committing someone else's changes, the private mode. In this mode, users enter configuration mode by executing configure private. These users do not write directly in the shared candidate database, but in a private view of the active configuration. When user 1 sets a new host name, the changes are local to its view. So if user 2 executes show system host name at this time, it would still see K2. When user 1 exits the private configuration session, the changes are discarded. This is completely different from the default configuration mode, where the candidate database kept the changes even after the user closed the session. Now user 1 enters private configuration mode again, getting a fresh private view of the active configuration. User 1 sets the host name to Annapurna and commits the changes. In this case, both the candidate and the active configurations get the new host name. On the other hand, user 2 keeps the old private view and still sees the old host name in it. However, the prompt of both sessions has already changed to Annapurna, matching the active configuration. Now, user 2 changes the host name to Makalu. As you can see, there is a configuration patch pending to be committed, but it refers to the old host name, so it's outdated. Therefore, the first commit results in a blocking warning and does not proceed. However, as you'll see in the hands-on practice, if user 2 tried again to commit, the new attempt would be successful. In this video, user 2 pays attention to the warning and decides to refresh the view before committing any changes. Wise move. Now let's see what happens when users access the configuration in different modes. User 2 enters in exclusive mode. This mode locks the candidate database and does not allow any other session to modify it. User 1 tries to do it, and it fails as expected. Let's see another scenario. User 1 sets a new host name in private mode Then, user 2 enters the default configuration mode. When user 2 tries to modify the candidate database, it fails to do it because there are ongoing private edits. This is a way to guarantee consistency in the configuration database. Only when user 1 commits the pending changes in its private session, user 2 can execute set commands successfully. Finally, let's explore the meaning of rollback in the different configuration modes. In private mode, rollback just restores the user view. However, in default configuration mode, the rollback command also restores the candidate database.